Chapter 1. Liftoff. The countdown echoed through the massive launch facility. Commander Alex Carter tightened his harness, his heartbeat syncing with the digital clock on the control panel. The crew of the Odyssey 1, a 6-person team of scientists, engineers and medics, exchanged nervous glances. Years of training had led to this moment. "Ignition in T-10, 9, 8. The voice from Mission Control filled their helmets. The engines roared to life, a deafening explosion of fire and energy. The force pressed Alex against his seat as the rocket surged upward, leaving Earth behind. His last view of the planet was a swirling blue sphere, shrinking against the void. The mission had officially begun. The next chapter in human history was being written in real time. Chapter 2. The Journey. 3 months in space passed in a blur of routine, scientific research and maintenance. The Odyssey 1 glided toward Mars with an eerie stillness, interrupted only by the hum of instruments and the occasional joke exchanged between the crew. Dr. Lian Zhao, the mission's biologist, monitored the hydroponic plant systems, which would serve as their primary source of oxygen and fresh food. Engineer Marcus Riley meticulously double-checked the landing protocols, while Medical Officer Dr. Samantha Brooks ensured the crew remained in peak health despite the lack of gravity. 1 week left, Alex said, addressing his team. Everything changes once we land. Throughout the journey, the crew reflected on the technological advancements that made this mission possible. Decades earlier, SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, had pioneered reusable rockets and ambitious interplanetary transport concepts. His vision of a self-sustaining Mars colony had paved the way for this mission, with Starship prototypes testing the feasibility of human travel beyond Earth. Without those breakthroughs, Odyssey 1 might never have left the ground. Chapter 3. Arrival. Mars loomed ahead, a vast rust-coloured expanse with swirling dust storms marking its surface. As the lander detached from the Odyssey 1, the crew braced for descent. The module rocked violently as it cut through the thin Martian atmosphere. "Retro thrusters engaged!" Marcus shouted over the alarms, his hands flying over the control panel. With a final jolt, they landed. Silence followed, broken only by the crew's heavy breathing. "We made it," Dr. Lian whispered, her voice a mix of disbelief and awe. Outside, Mars stretched endlessly before them, a hauntingly beautiful, untouched landscape waiting for its first human inhabitants. Chapter 4. First steps. The hatch hissed open. Alex stepped onto the alien soil, his boots sinking slightly into the fine reddish dust. His voice, choked with emotion, crackled over the radio. "Mission Control, this is Odyssey 1. Humanity has arrived." The rest of the crew followed, setting foot on a world that had only been seen through telescopes and robotic rovers. Their mission? To survive, build and prepare for future settlers. As they set up initial systems, the team marvelled at the sleek, modular design of their habitat, another innovation inspired by Musk's early Mars colonization blueprints. The inflatable structures, powered by solar arrays and supplemented by autonomous supply drones, were built to withstand Mars's harsh conditions. These structures would be their lifeline in the unforgiving landscape. Chapter 5. The First Night. The first structure, a temporary habitat, was quickly assembled. Solar panels deployed, communications established. As night fell, temperatures plummeted to 80 degrees. Inside the habitat, the team huddled, adjusting to the surreal reality of sleeping on another planet. Alex gazed at the tiny window, watching the darkened landscape outside. "One day down," Marcus said, sipping from a rehydrated meal pouch. "Only a lifetime to go," Lian chuckled, shaking her head. "Let's just get through this week first." Chapter 6. Challenges. The thin atmosphere meant no breathable air. Every step outside required a suit. The first attempt to extract water from buried ice was met with mechanical failure. "Pumps clogged," Lian reported, her brow furrowed as she examined the error logs. "We need to clear the intake." Hours of troubleshooting followed, sweat beading inside their helmets despite the freezing cold outside. Finally, the first drops of water trickled into a collection tank. "We have water," Alex confirmed. A small victory, but vital. They knew that every system, from water to food production, had to be self-sustaining. The foundation for Musk's original vision, a self-sufficient Mars colony, was finally being laid by their own hands. The weight of responsibility settled on their shoulders, but so did a quiet determination. Chapter 7. First Martian Sunrise. On the 7th day, as the first rays of the Martian sun crested the horizon, the crew stood together outside the habitat, watching the dusty world awaken. The pale light painted the surface in shades of orange and red, a stark contrast to the blues of Earth. Alex took a deep breath, despite the fact that he was inside a sealed suit. "We made it through the first week," he said, his voice resolute.
"And there's no turning back now," Samantha added.
"This is just the beginning," Alex said.
"Earth is far away, but this is home now." They weren't just astronauts anymore.
They were pioneers, the first settlers of Mars. The adventure had only just begun. Chapter 8. The Unforeseen Test. On the 8th day, the first major crisis struck. A dust storm, far more intense than expected, was sweeping toward their location. Mission Control had warned them of the possibility, but seeing the towering wall of swirling red approach on their monitors sent a chill through the crew. "We need to secure the habitat and reinforce the solar panels," Alex ordered. The team sprang into action, donning their suits and venturing out to anchor everything in place. The storm hit faster than anticipated, whipping up thick clouds of dust that reduced visibility to nearly zero. The habitat creaked under the pressure. "Hold steady! Keep communications open!" Marcus called out through the static. For 6 grueling hours they battled the storm. By the time it passed, they were exhausted, but relieved to find the habitat still intact, though one of their solar panels had been damaged. Repairs would be needed, and they knew that Mars would continue to test them in ways they had only begun to imagine. Chapter 9. Looking ahead. As they worked on the repairs, Alex reflected on the enormity of their task. This was only the first week. They had survived the launch, the landing, and their first crisis, but the road ahead was uncertain. "We adapt, we push forward, and we build," he said, looking at his crew. "This is how we become Martians." As they stood together under the alien sky, they knew they were making history, not just as explorers, but as the first inhabitants of a new world. And that wraps up the incredible first week of humanity's journey on Mars. But this is just the beginning. What challenges and discoveries do you think await the first Martian settlers? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an epic sci-fi adventure. Share this video with fellow space lovers, and let's keep the dream of Mars alive.
See you in the next one. Keep reaching for the stars.